Dynamic effort lower body. What the fuck does that mean? God damn, it's messy in here. Just the way I like it. So dynamic effort lower body when following the west side / conjugate / any concurrent system, I'd say would be the most contentious, I don't know if I want to use the word contentious, the most misunderstood and probably misinterpreted part of their system. I think the max effort method's pretty easy to figure out. You build up to a max on something. The repetition method, pretty easy. Pick an exercise, hit some reps. And the rotation and variation, pretty easy. Keep switching exercises every 1 to 3 weeks to avoid accommodation. Dynamic effort or speed work though, probably a little bit harder to understand. I know that I'm still learning, practicing different things, still reading more stuff. It's something that really helped me a lot to take my deadlift from about 200 to 220 is when I was working with just deadlifting with bands basically. So today for me, I'll be hitting 12 sets of 2 on the safety bar with chains to a box, bench, box squats. So it's a lot of variation. It's not what was that I'd written today for the program, but the benefit of writing your own programs is you know what you can change and things like that, because you know what you're aiming for. You know the stimulus that we're trying to get. So after yesterday's upper body session and just everything else throughout the week, I can do it one-handed. If I put the phone down, I can't get both hands like behind my ears. I won't be able to grab an axle today. I'm stupidly sore here and a little bit on the back as well. So I just feel like using the safety bar for my squats, it'll be a little bit more comfortable and still challenging and still getting the work that I need. I'll be adding chains simply because bands are too hard for me to attach here to the safety bar, to the little platform that I've made down there. So chains is easier. That's why I'm using that. I'm using a box today because box squats are good and I like them. I'll be going pretty wide stance. I'll be sitting back pretty far. Nothing as drastic as what you'll see in any of the old West Side videos as far as stance and the bottom position, but I'll be pushing the stance every set, trying to get a little bit more comfortable in the wide stance. So 12 sets of 2, why so many sets, why so little reps? So we want to maintain bar speed. If we look back to Prilipin's chart, which is what a lot of people will follow, and it's proven to work. So if I look at about the middle of the graph, or the middle of the chart, for speed work, we want to rotate between 75, 80, and 85%. The 90% plus days are on our max effort days, which is, as a guideline, 3 days or 72 hours before your speed work or after your speed work. So 3 days between the max effort lower, which was Monday, and the dynamic effort, which is today, Thursday. So I'm going to take off the lowest part of that percentage. I'll be sticking at 75%. And you can see that I want to hit, I think the guideline from memory here, says about 24 reps is the total. So 12 sets of 2, that's 24 reps. I could do 1 set of 24 and I'm getting the same amount of volume in, but then I'm really training a different stimulus. I'm training a different part of strength there, a little bit of endurance, and we want to maintain bar speed. It's very hard to maintain bar speed on the 3rd, 4th, 5th, 10th rep. So 12 sets of 2 means that I can maintain bar speed. There'll be nothing wrong with doing 8 sets of 3, or a 5x5, or 4x5, or 5x4, whatever variation you like. Experiment with it, play around. Sometimes if there's a group of us training here, it definitely makes more sense to go 5 sets of 5, so we're not changing the weights as much. But if I'm on my own, which I am today, I'll go for 12 sets of 2. I'll keep the rests to a minute or less, so I'll get a little bit of fitness in. It's already bloody hot in here, so I'm gonna get a sweat up. But yeah, that's why we do so many sets with so little reps. It's just to maintain bar speed. So as far as choosing weight, I'm gonna be doing 75% of my max safety bar with chains to a box. I don't know what my max is on that. I could test it next Monday and then I'd know, or I can just use a guideline. I'll have a rough guess of what I'd be able to do. I'll take 75% of that. If the bar's moving too slow, or if I'm moving too slow, I'm moving the weight too slow, I'll back off the weight a little bit. If it feels too easy, maybe I'll add weight, or maybe I'll just do it next week and add weight next week. There's nothing wrong, I don't think, with going too light on things. So that's my speed work for squats. I don't mind the box. I know that'd be pretty contentious in raw powerlifting. Most of the stuff I've tried to Google will talk about how it doesn't apply to raw powerlifting. Lucky I'm not a raw powerlifter. That's all I can say. Theory should have a lot of carryover to the deadlift, sumo or conventional. I just like it, doesn't bang me up too much. So we're gonna hit it. It's gonna get pretty damn hot in here. I'm gonna go 12 sets of 2. So I'm thinking weight wise, I'm gonna have maybe, I don't know, it might be 100 kilos on the bar and the chains weigh 40. I'll see how that moves. Maybe I'll go a little bit less. So 140 at the top, which will be, most of the chains will come off So it might be 115 or 120 at the bottom. So you can see it's really light at the bottom. So normally this type of stuff doesn't bang me up too much. I get 24 reps in at 75% of my max, and I don't feel too bad. I feel fit, I feel strong, I feel explosive, and more or less feel fresh. Ever since I've been training this way, I feel really, my knees have never been better. Nothing ever feels banged up. I get DOMs when I push the repetition work as hard as I did yesterday, and on days when I'm feeling good. But the max effort stuff and the dynamic effort stuff, although I'm lifting heavier more often than I used to with other ways I used to train, I feel less banged up. I'm not hitting out, you know, multiple reps and multiple sets at 80, 85%. Even when we're doing the speed work and I'm using 75% like today, at the bottom position it's still only 50, 55%, if that makes sense, because I'm using the accommodating resistance, the bands and chains. So it's heavier at the top, a bit lighter at the bottom. It's just a nice, it's a nice middle ground. And I really like the effects of it. I find that PB'd multiple things and seen a few people train here, such as Alira, Scotty, you know, everyone that trains here. We do a few weeks of this stuff, and it might not have a direct or a straightaway carryover to their squat. So doing box squats might not help their squat within the first month, but like Alira PB'd her snatch without really practicing snatches or training the snatch ever. Scotty, log PBs, Mal and Liana, deadlift PBs, things like that. Beck, overhead PBs, bloody all the time. We're all moving faster on yoke, we're all moving faster on farmers, all the strongman things. Scotty, massive PB on stones. So I think a lot of that I attribute to the speed work we do, and then targeting the certain muscle groups responsible for moving big ass weight. Hopefully that wasn't too confusing. It is a confusing thing, I guess. I find it pretty simple. Basically, you follow the chart, you just try and move fast and you try and move well. Any questions, let me know. If I don't know the answer, we can discuss it. Last set done, 118, so that took 13 minutes, 12 sets of 2. I thought maybe I'd gone a little bit too heavy. The first 2 sets were pretty slow. Felt it on the core and the back more so than the legs was really getting tested. But throughout those middle sets, I think I started moving a lot better. So if I do that variation next week, I'll just add 5 kilos and drop it down to 10 sets of 2 for a total of 20 reps instead of 24 as the weight's heavier. Anyway, I'm gonna move on to deadlifts, but I'll save the deadlifts for another video. I didn't feel too bad. I really do think, talking as a strongman competitor and for the sport of strongman, I think you need to squat. I think squatting the musculature that we're trying to strengthen is important for strongman. I just think your normal powerlifting style squat, just a lowish bar placement, medium stance, I know it's different for everyone. If you can't apply force to the barbell in that position like me, I'm talking to my fellow shitty squatters here, people that just don't enjoy it, find a variation, find a squat variation where you can apply force to the bar, where you feel strong, and it's not so challenging just to get into position. If you can't front squat, work on your mobility, keep going at it, but why the hell do you have to front squat? If you can jump on the safety bar squat and that's all you can do, if you can do heavy ass goblet squats, or you can back squat, high bar, find a machine, whether it be the pendulum leg press or a belt squat, can you find something that allows you to strengthen the muscle groups that we're trying to strengthen? I spent so much time, I think, trying to fix my regular barbell back squat, you know what I mean? And with my shoulders, my limb lengths, my excuses, everything, I just wasn't getting stronger at it. I tried all the different programs, I tried so many different things. My back squat, for the most part, it's always been around the same. You know, for me, these box squats, they feel really good and they're still strengthening the same muscles. If there's a certain muscle group missing, then I can attack that muscle group on a different movement. But you don't have to bang your head up against the wall, especially for strongman. If a squat pops up in strongman, it's going to be the axle, it's going to be touching to parallel. So make sure you've got the mobility and the technique to be able to do that. But if you're squatting to try and strengthen your quads, core, upper back, hamstrings, glutes, blah, 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 to help your stones, to help your log clean, to help your yoke, to help you run faster, then you need to choose a variation that feels good, that you don't hate doing, and that you can apply force to a barbell. I can't apply force to a barbell back squat. It just, where it sits in relation to my midfoot, blah, 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 it just feels friggin' terrible for me. And the longer I spend on that, the angrier I get, the more frustrated I get, I should say. Angry and sad. So find a variation. This goes for all lifts. Me with my pressing, due to my rack position, a barbell strict press or even the log strict press, just feels fucking terrible. But if I can find something else, a different bar or a different position that I can get in and still strengthen my core, shoulders and upper back, then I'll stick with that variation as long as I can do the lifts that are in the competition, or I found the best way for me to do them. So another long rant, I'm sorry, but it's something that I'm passionate about. You don't have to do the power lifts if you're not a power lifter. Those lifts were designed to make people strong, and now they've made a sport out of testing who can be the strongest at those lifts. It doesn't mean that they're the only lifts. If you don't even compete in anything, you don't have to deadlift. Use a trap bar deadlift, use a friggin' machine. It's still good. Machines aren't the devil. If it helps you get stronger, it helps you get fitter and healthier and live forever, and just go do it. Any questions, let me know. Bye.